One second.
Yes, we are live now.
Yeah, okay. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Dil Ki Baatein with me, Gouri Dange, writer and counselor. Today's theme is an interesting one. At one level, it's so general, and the letter that has come is so particular, and I think there'll be lots of food for thought. Let me read the question. The theme is on handling change. All around, we hear about how we must all learn to accept and embrace. These are the words they use, change. The letter that has come is from somebody who says, "Hello, ma'am, I'm 68. This is Geetika. I'm 68 and recently closed my long running children's activity center that I would conduct. More than me getting tired, I found that I could no more relate to the type of parent," and in brackets she said, "some highly demanding or some highly neglectful of their kids." So more than me getting tired, I found that I could no more relate to the type of parent, very different from earlier parents, people who I could not, who I could earlier relate to and handle. Now I just stopped enjoying my work and decided to stop. While I am fine with my decision, I was and am told by quite a few people, including my daughters and some younger friends, and also on some of the life coach and other sites that I see and read, that I must learn to embrace change. She's put it in capitals, that I must learn to embrace change. I'm a bit tired of hearing this phrase. I don't quite understand it. I'm being told this not just about my big decision, but about everyday matters too. I think I do change and learn new things because one just has to, like banking online, Zoom calls, new gadgets, etc. But it's all too much. And when you try to change, the choices are so many that I want to just stay with the known things. It is very tiring to keep changing and adapting beyond a point. Do you agree that one can limit this change business? She's written change. This change business and refuse to change on some particular matters. This is Geetika. So I think all of us are familiar with this construct. And it is true that from all sides, we are being told this embrace change, accept change, welcome change, learn to change, do not resist change. And at the core of her question is, what is so wrong with resisting it? And it's very difficult. We cannot completely change who we are or our attitude to things. Yes. So I'd say to Geetika that yes, you're right. We keep hearing this embrace change, welcome change. And we do change anyway, whether we like it or not. We are often forced to. And we end up having to change. But I think it's normal also to feel anxious, frustrated, or resistant to change. That's normal too. Why do we resist change? Because it seems just easier the way we did a certain thing to continue doing it in that way. It's as simple as that. Because you have to unlearn and learn, which can be fun only in a very limited way. But the rate at which I think our age group is forced to reinvent their, not themselves, but their relationship with their things, with their services, with their ways of communication, that is become overwhelming, as her letter seems to indicate. It becomes overwhelming. And yes, it's important to see that this blindly embrace change thing, does it apply to everything? It's where we need to examine closely which things we need to accept, that yes, I need to change this, and which things we say, no, I'm fine, I may be better off changing on things, but I'm okay here as I am. So the thing is that I think one very important thing, if we have to sift, if we have to put a chalni in this whole change that is pouring down on us, you want to put a chalni, a sieve, and decide which things you'll change and which things you feel, I can't, I don't want to. The example she's given, of course, if you're in something you've done for so many years of your life and you feel its essential nature has changed. She says she ran an activity center for many, many years for children. And besides herself feeling that she's come to the end of it in terms of, retirement age, she says that it's the core thing, the nature of the parents and their attitudes, which have changed. And now she doesn't feel equipped to handle that. Maybe for somebody else, it applies that you quickly reorient yourself to what the parents' demands are, and you manage that change. In her case, she may have, I'm sure there was a transition period where she tried to accommodate that too. And she's come to this point. So closing her activity center is not necessarily, cannot be characterized, it would be unfair to say, only because you're resistant to change, you close your activity center. There's much more to it. I think that being forced to do things differently, one of the reasons we are resistant is being forced to do something differently than what we are not just used to, but which worked fine, which served us well, that we were doing it in a certain way, makes us feel not rightly so, but naturally so. It may not be the right interpretation on our part, that the way we did things, it's as if somebody or some system is telling us that the way you did things up to now was pointless or plain wrong. It's as if you're being told that this is now you are irrelevant. Your way of doing things is irrelevant. If one got a gentler transition, that yes, this worked. If there was somebody who was acknowledging that yes, you were very good at what you were doing and the way you were doing it, I think that makes you feel less as if suddenly somebody saying, game over, this game over. Now let's chart a new board. Everything you were doing, all the rules changed, gone. So if when you are changing, there is some acknowledgement, it may come from the outside or from your own inner resources, that you were not doing things wrong. It's not that you were silly or wrong or frozen in something time, but that times are changing very rapidly. And I think it's important to tell ourselves or to hear it from, and I'm saying this for any younger people who are dealing with helping an older person change, is that your past, somebody must acknowledge, either somebody you outside or you yourself, that your past knowledge and perspectives on life, on anything that you were doing, even your self-awareness, your awareness of what you need, what you can do, your capabilities, what works, what doesn't work, those remain valuable assets when you navigate change. So it's not somebody just coming with a duster and rubbing out all those algebraic equations that used to be your life and saying, ye sab gaya, abhi, and you're staring frightenedly at a blank board. And somebody's giving you a chalk and saying, abhi likho, wo sab bhulo. I think that is what scares a lot of us. The kind of, I'm not getting the word, the kind of negation, kind of almost negation of the feeling that everything that you held true is now gone and should be thrown away. I think that's what makes us also resistant to change. So that, I think, brings us to one way of handling change, is to look at that sieve that I'm saying, Pochalni, which are the core things that you feel, no, I won't change. Core values. Suppose there are core values. If you are being pushed to change some of those core values, that troubles you. If there is just mechanics that has to be changed, that makes it slightly easier. And if one can sift these two things. Now, suppose my core value, our whole age group's core value, is to follow traffic rules. Okay, when you're driving, that's your core value. Whoever else is cutting, going the opposite direction, using, a third lane, which is in the opposite side, there's no point telling us, and we will not, and we should not say, "Acha, ye naya system hai bhai, chalo sab rules todo and now join them." And that's the only way to survive. If somebody's telling you that, it is something you may feel, no, I will, as long as you're not endangering yourself or other people, I will stick to the way I drive. And yet, because I'm giving this example because I experience it daily in the city that I live, because there is a stream of people coming in the opposite direction in the one-way road, my change is not to start joining them and saying, okay, now let me forget what I believe in, and let me also do this. But definitely not be so resistant as to blindly keep driving in a way where I might just bang into one of those people and say, no, no, but we are right. You should not have been on this road. And, encounter a wrong entrant and have a face off or have an accident. So here I have to be willing to change in terms of learning to drive more evasively. Ki bhai, this is the new reality. This is how people are driving. I'm not changing my core value. I still call it wrong. And yet I learn to be alert to this hazard, say. And to accept it, not as in terms of I will also do it or that it's fine, but I have to account for it. I have to account for people coming out suddenly from here and there, coming in the opposite direction. In that, I have to change. There's no point hanging on to your own principles of saying, but why is he coming this way? I will teach him a lesson. You'll be on the road teaching people lessons or having very ugly interactions. So there, in this example, I'd say it's the same act of driving, but there are two separate things where a core value doesn't change, but the mechanics of driving in such a population changes. The mechanics. So I feel if we apply this to various things around us, of saying, no, this core thing I will not change. And the mechanics. Now, for example, I had an old aunt who moved to the cell phone because she had to, but she found it really, really tough to look at screens and touch screens or anything. She hung on very long to an old phone with the buttons. And then that stopped working. And so the only thing she said is, I only use my cell phone to receive calls. I'm not even going to call anybody. Anybody calls me. I wish I'd photographed that instrument. Maybe somebody in Bombay still has it, somebody from the family. Somebody had rigged for her a little thing that goes into her phone, what you would put for a headphone, but it was a full-on receiver from the old days. The receiver that we went like this? It was such an amusing looking thing. And it just made her less distressed and unhappy. Otherwise, she'd stopped even taking calls because, this, ye slide karo, ye karo, wo karo. Somebody rigged this thing for her. So this is managing change. Accepting that you're on the cell phone, that you need that cell phone. She was also told that, with banking, sometimes OTPs, this, that, somebody will come and help her with that when an OTP comes. But if she has a non-smart phone, even all the banking had started becoming very difficult. And then because there was some help, she felt, yeah, this is easier. This is easier. So at this point, I want to say that all of us have also benefited greatly from change. All said and done. We have benefited from our parents changing. We have benefited from our grandparents accepting change and then passing on what is a better way of living or thinking or earning money or maintaining your health or thinking, because they accepted a different thing, change. And I would say, I would use the word reform close to that change. Things reforming. Reform is also change, which you have to accept. So we mustn't forget that we have been cannot be a bad word. And we have been beneficiaries of change, which must have not been easy for these people. It was still a way to, still a thing that had to be, you had to work your way around various things, various changes, right from ideas of gender, hygiene, health, um, careers, choice of spouses, caste, class, so many things we have benefited from somebody accepting that the time has come to change and making that change. So we were handed down certain values and certain things, bana banaya, because that change had been processed by people before us. So I feel it's important that we also keep up that thing, that the change is not just something there to irritate you. It is also something to accept and pass on to make life easier or more logical or more less exploitative. All kinds of things, all fields have required us to accept change and accept it gratefully, gracefully. So I would also tell Geetika that it's important, if you keep hearing from close people, you need to you need to accept change. Or casually somebody says, no, things change, things change. Maybe sit a few of these people down, not as a fight, but you sit them down and say, do you think I'm not doing a good job? Which are the things on which you think I'm just being very, resistant for the sake of being resistant? Maybe I can't see it. But do you think I'm being, stubborn or unseeing about it? It would be useful. And instead of people just making these statements around you, things change, general statements, hoping you'll take the hint, you may have a good open dialogue about what you need to change. And then you get a chance to say why you resist it, or what you fear will happen if you change X thing or Y thing. Simple thing like this cell phone banking. There are so many fears in that itself. To be able to spell them out and find some way to protect yourself without going the whole hog and feeling completely vulnerable and feeling completely taken over by the system. So I feel we have to find, I'm saying this to Geetika or to anybody in this, we have to find our negotiables and non-negotiables. So for example, driving on the wrong side is a non-negotiable for me. I will not drive on the wrong side. But it is negotiable. It has to be negotiable. It's not a happy acceptance, but it is a very important acceptance that this is a negotiable, that some people in this city are treating this as a two-way street, and I must look out for them when I'm driving. That is a negotiable. I have to negotiate this and I have to accept it. I cannot become rigid and say, no, bring back all the rules, otherwise I won't get out of the house. Nobody's driving the way I want them to drive, the way I was brought up to drive, or the way I was driving till 5 years ago. And I can't handle this change, so I sit in the house. This is coming to what happens if we resist change a lot. One of the things is the sheer isolation that it can bring, resisting change, because then you start cutting off things which require you to change too much. नहीं फिर नहीं करेंगे. Won't drive, won't meet X person, won't meet Y person, won't eat this, won't go on holidays, won't meet that branch of the family who believes in intercommunal marriage, because I don't believe in it. All those things, slowly you just isolate yourself and build a wall of your own notions. So isolation is, I think, a very serious hazard of not changing. I think in India, we are also fortunate enough that simple thing, you go to bank or you go to book a ticket or you're online or people come to help us easily in India still. There are humans in the equation. Yes, sometimes, Indian Railways, you're trying to book a ticket and it's all automated and you get thrown out of the system. But most places, you can just say that help me with this. I will do it over my phone, but can you help me with this? And somebody will quickly help you. I get out of Pune airport sometimes, and it's really amusing to see that there are these young guys who man this Ola and Uber kiosks, who will just say, give me your phone. And you give them their phone. Part of you says, no, no, man, I know how to do this. Just tell me. But it's just easier. They're just seeing an older person and they're just doing it for you and handing your phone back. Yes, there's a danger in that. But most times, if you are standing there, there is somebody who's sort of midwifing this change for you, who's saying, I'll help you partially. I'll do it quickly for you. Other things is neighborhood. In the neighborhood, I have, say, younger people I have a running joke with them that, what do they call it? Not R&D, what do they call it? Somebody, the tech help end of things. Younger people who will come and say, no, no, I'll do that one for you. Simple thing like a new phone. And the running joke is, so now when are you baking me a cake? So it's almost goods and services being exchanged. We have that kind of in India, I feel, that human connect, where somebody will help you with that change. It doesn't mean you go saying somebody do this for me at all times, but you are handheld, midwifed through some of these changes. It's important, I feel, it's a tangential point, but I'm sure you all will agree. It's important to also have friends, not just people to help you do it, but friends slightly younger than you. Yes, of course, you have your children, your nieces, nephews who'll come and help you. But for me personally, I find having people in their late 40s, 50s who are also kind of aging, but are definitely on top of this change business, much, much happier than us, who will also help you sift whether you really need to learn this thing. Do you need to change this device? Do you need to upgrade your computer? Do you need to learn to take flights which have long layovers somewhere? They'll give you perspective. It's important to have somebody who will give you perspective on how much something should change and how much you don't need to change it. I can read in her thing that there's a feeling of being just bombarded by a meme. It's almost a meme. Everywhere all around you, embrace change, accept change, and where your reaction is sometimes then to resist in a blanket fashion, and that we should watch out from, to have either blanket resistance or to then just get into a zone where somebody else is doing everything for you. um one other thing is that it's important to uh, like I said, to have somebody as a sounding board. Like she's writing to us and asking us. I'm sure Geetika has spoken to a few other people, but she's now writing to some completely outside, like a counselor, outside. Okay, I want to know how this is working in the population. Is it just me? Or is there a larger response to this? Are there other, in Hindi it's called samadukhi. Are there other people commonly suffering from this? And could I find some sort of corresponding, experiences? Are other people in the same place too? I think it's important to have those people. Just much younger people will just take it from you and fatafat do it for you and give it back, whether it's the phone or anything else. Rather than that, somebody who will curate this change, that word everybody uses, to curate this change, tell you how much of it you is for you and how much of it is not necessary for you. In that sense, curate this change. Or go outside and bring you something. Hey, look, I found this gadget that allows you to have a receiver to stick to your phone. Somebody's gone out and found a outlandish but very perfect solution for you, say. To be open, and that's part of negotiating change. To be open to some of those helpers, those midwives of your change. That is part, I think, very important part. Another thing in this thing is, I feel, to suppose somebody suggesting that you should do this, maybe something, a big change. It could be a big change. It could be somebody saying, go and stay, in another place, sell off your house, go live with your daughter. Is to sit down and be able to ask questions to fully grasp the reason behind the change. Because sometimes somebody is telling you to change without fully knowing what your compulsions are or what your objections are. And you may find, not just will you think it's a good idea, be convinced, but you'll feel grateful that, wow, I had not thought of these aspects of this change and how it will make my life better. And then how it will impact your life if you hear from somebody who's not just trying to bulldoze you into anything, but from whom you've often enough heard that you need to change this thing. And the outcome could be both ways. That person might feel, okay, I hadn't thought of this. Then maybe we could do it slightly differently so you don't make a sea change. Or you could feel, I hadn't thought of this thing. And I think this is something I will cogitate on. I'll keep, and within a limited time frame, I will decide what to do with this information. So being informed, to fully grasp the reasons behind why this change is expected of you, or why you should expect that change of yourself. I think this is a very, very important form of seeking support without just, leaning fully on somebody. It is seeking sort of making informed changes, informed decisions. Then I think pacing yourself. I think pacing yourself is important. You can't do it overnight. Maybe somebody, another driving example I'll give you is that I have resisted buying I've driven what is that called? Geared car all my life, stick shift. I've resisted this automatic thing. At least 6 or 7 years back, one of my relatives said, try driving my automatic. You'll see how much easier it is. Ultimately, you will shift. And I was resistant. I knew. It was a joke that I was finding it much more difficult, the more easy thing. But I was just finding it difficult and I didn't need to change. You see, that time I had my old car. I didn't need to change. He kept saying every third day, that time I used to go up one hill road to teach. He used to say, when you go up that road, take this is much easier. And it's a deserted road, so you don't have to worry about sudden things. And there's nothing, kept saying, there's nothing to worry. It's easier. You have to do less. You feel you have to do more to change here. You have to do less. And I didn't, and I could afford to be. So that's one thing where I'm saying pace yourself. First of all, figure whether you can afford to not change that thing. And then at what rate you can afford to change. I'll do it today slowly. I'll do it 6 months from now. This pacing is also important, where you are not stuck to the ground. You're on a, roller to hai. You're rolling, but you've decided how fast you're going to roll and when you'll get to that point. And finally, I had to, recently sort of, I'm using the word succumb, but I had to get, because it was told by everybody that my old car was very old and that my new car would have to be an automatic. I was standing at the showroom and I realized almost begging somebody to agree with me that I'll buy a old-fashioned geared one. And even the mechanics and the engineers from inside came out and politely said, just it'll take you 1 week. Well, it has not taken me 1 week. I still sit and I have to think. Earlier, didn't have to think. That was the comfort zone of having a more difficult vehicle. What now people find a more difficult system. But when I was in my comfort zone, I didn't have to think. But it's important to certain things which have become by default, now if they are not, we have to stand and think. Right from bringing the window down, my hand still goes to another place. I have to still look. Putting on the AC, I have to still look. There is no blind doing. Am I better off because of that change? 100%. Am I happier? No, because I'm still in that, still got that, yeah, still got that little nostalgia about the way it was. That is there. But I will get there. I don't have to be happier, but it'll stop being a thing. It'll stop being an impediment, I think. And that's good enough for a change, or mechanics wala change. So I think it's important to find your own pace. If the 25 men standing in that showroom said, "Saat din mein, madam, you'll think." It's not Saat din. It was 6 January. Today we are at 6 March. It is still taking time for me. Does it stop me from going out? No, I go. It's not gone into the zone ki now I can't drive here. I don't feel like driving. That you have to push yourself. I mean, this is just an example. But where I'm saying, again, negotiables and non-negotiables. If somebody's standing on my head and saying, "Abhi bhi nahi aa raha hai, abhi bhi nahi, how? Arey, the whole world drives this." There, I think we can afford to say, I don't care what the whole world, at what pace the whole world changes. I am changing. I have bought the vehicle that is the most sensible one, the system. But let me take my time. And if you're not coming in anybody's way, you're not asking people to, "Hey, can you drive me to the corner because I'm scared?" You're not doing any of that. So it's okay to pace yourself, is what I'm saying. The other thing is to maintain, not just this driving example, anything, to keep some of the earlier routines in place. Keep some familiar aspects of your life consistent to provide that stability during change. Some things which you say, I can't throw everything up in the air. That's important. And for you to be self-aware, to know which are those things which you say, no, this I'm not ready to do yet. Simple things. Suppose you're old and you are, somebody says, make life easier and just get a dabba from outside. Suppose somebody says, you may get there. You may be that old, and maybe it's time for you to do that, and not be pottering around or not opening doorbells to cooks, and maybe. But again, you could maintain some part. You'll say, "Nee, breakfast I'll fix. I'll get the dabba for lunch." This kind of, I think, hanging on to some of your routines, again, at your own pace. Important. Instead of just being coaxed into aankhein band karke kudo into any kind of change. And anyone who's sensitive around you, who's helping you with this change, will give you the leeway and the rope that, yeah, this will take some time. This will take time. One before I open this to us, or let's have a chat about all this, and then I'll quickly tell you the exercise. Anyone has anything to say about this? Anything anybody has been dealing with? It is true that every few weeks you feel, abhi ye bhi badalna padega, soch. It is true. Many times there are things which you feel, oh, again, because the world is turning fast. It is turning fast. And it's one last thing I'd say, that when I said hang on to some routines which you're happy with, we have to find some bubbles in which change is not required and which is a break from change. Those bubbles, but it's important to know which are those bubbles which don't impede your growth or your convenience or help while you're aging, and in which you can sit safely and say, thank God things remain the same here or there. It could just be a routine, lunch out with two friends, which remains unchanged. Or a decision to, do certain things the old-fashioned way. Anything. So people are talking nowadays about going back to handwriting for fun. Adult coloring books and stuff had come, drawing and coloring books. The same way, Those cursive books are coming back where you go over it just for the sheer joy of handwriting, to take a break from this, and this, and just go back to the familiar. And of course, a lot of people are saying to do it so that your signature doesn't change as you age, which is a hazard to remember to, keep the coordination between hand and eye and pen and paper and all of that. So, okay, anybody wants to say anything about this? If not, Dipali, you have your hand up? No, not no. Then let's go into the exercise that I'd like to give. And Krish, I want you to put this exercise even on that little chat for anybody who's watching on YouTube. So here's the exercise. I'll first read it to you, and then I'll put it up on that. He'll put it up. It says, list 5 things that have changed in your world for the better over the last 25 years or so, meaning in which you have played a part in changing also, something that has required you to change, and things have turned out for the better because of this. Personally, not advances in medical science, but if it's to do with you, what has changed? Yes, attitudes to untouchability have changed. But if it's not impacted you, that wouldn't be an example. So list 5 things that have changed in your world for the better over the last 25 years or so, your actual area of functioning. And I'm giving this to Krish. And after you do that, the other one is second list, 5 things that you have changed into, not very happily at first, but are now happy that you made the change. ऐसे 10 things totally. One sec, let me just, now this is part of me not changing, which is Krish has shown me how to put this thing on the list, but I'm not doing it. Krish, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'll give you this thing. You'll open that dialog box on the right, the chat box.
Yes, I will open it. Yeah.
Huh. And how do I pass it on to you? Or I can paste it there, no? These 2
Yeah,
exercises.
you can directly paste it on the chat box.
Yeah. I am not.
Is it a PDF?
Now. Yes, got it. See, now this is something that I have to learn anew every time. 100, what is that movie? 100 First Dates, 50 First Dates. Every Wednesday, I'm learning how to find the chat afresh. Here it is, okay? Exercise, yeah? Yeah, visible? And Krish, would this be visible to people who are watching on YouTube live?
I'll put it on YouTube live.
Okay, great. And if you want, you can do it now, this thing, or if you want to send it in separately, you can do that too. Or next time you want to paste it when we meet next time. Give it a thought and do it if you like, or you can put them down here. I'm just giving you. And actually, I don't think only seniors are dealing with change, really speaking. It's just that younger people, change is thrown at them at such a rapid pace, down to you have a job today, you don't have a job tomorrow. Relationships are just coming and going. I think younger people deal with change too. It's just that there is more resilience, there's more flexibility, elasticity, and that's why they seem to manage their change, but it troubles them too. It's not easy for anybody changing, I think. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to read out just tell you the theme for next time. Um, you know, remember I told you the last time that I read a book, how to speak so that children listen and how to listen so that children speak. I'd mentioned this book, old classic. Next time's theme is about how to listen so that older people speak and how to speak so that older people listen. About It's not children, it's older people. And it's somebody who's written in wanting to train her, uh, the generation below her and below her further, to be able to have not just the pranam, you kind of conversations with the old people in the family, but just to have meaningful chats. It comes from a big, large family where there are a lot of get-togethers and weddings and meetups, and really feels that it will benefit everybody if younger people, maybe starting very young, learn what to speak to, instead of just the standard stuff and you just do your salams and then proceed to ignore them and bury them in respect, but no warmth and connect. So it's a very, very interestingly put question. She's given us examples of why she thinks it's so important and how it used to happen naturally maybe before and is not happening. So how to speak so that seniors listen and how to listen so that seniors speak. Both ways. So sometimes you need that art to get through to a senior who you want them to pay attention to something important, to change maybe, all of that. But the art of talking to a senior without it just being upar ka perfunctory kind of thing, where again the person feels respected but not particularly relevant or included in that inclusive fashion. Some people have the art very naturally, I've seen, and maybe sometimes it has to be taught. That's going to be our next week's theme. Okay. Anything else that we want to talk about this particular thing? I've scribbled one thing which says accept your emotions about change. Accept them, where we don't swing between being very strict on yourself and saying, remember, this won't do you good, you have to change. Swinging between that and then also having emotions where you're feeling, why do I have to change? Why are things moving so fast? Accept this. I am feeling this. And if nobody else is accepting it, at least you must accept that I'm in that place. But in accepting it, it helps you stand apart from what you're feeling and view yourself as, yeah, this is happening to me just now, instead of being completely immersed in it and acting out on it each time. That is one last scribble I had made. And on a really final note, I think part of getting to a place where you are ready to face changes required of you is to never say never. You know that old saying, never say never. मैं तो कभी नहीं. I'll never do this, or I never did it. That never say never. That word never is no is comes comes in your way when it comes to change, because it is too loaded with maybe nostalgia, which also can pull you down. Nostalgia is a good thing and a bad thing, and that never is also loaded with a certain my way or the highway attitude. And this was what was best for us, and I would never, because I think so many of us have I have a friend who used to absolutely scoff at gated communities. I'll never stay in those things where you need a gate pass and this, that. And I'm going to, because at that time she lived in a more bohemian, old building. None of these protocols were there. And guests didn't have to show pass. And, but that also meant that a lot of services didn't come up there. And she was going out, up and down, doing those things. Not very old friend. Must be in her 50s. And then for various reasons, something happened and that whole building came up for redevelopment and it turned into one of these big gated places. And she's very happy. And she sheepishly says that, it was very easy to mock people who lived in that and call them, ivory tower wala and all of this. But my God, there are some huge advantages to this. There's so much, joining of resources and forces instead of each person in their flat reinventing the wheel, kind of. Down to managers and uh, repair people and all those resources which this gated community allows her to now plug into. And I think once you learn not to say, never do this, never say never, then you're not also finding it so hard to come down off your high horse about something that you've said, "Main ye kabhi bhi nahi karungi," you know. Or one should never, telling other people also, one should never. You should never. That I think sometimes time is sitting coiled there and watching you saying these things, and so it's important that you never say never, basically. I
Very
think
true.
no, that the change, it's saying never isn't directly in opposition to handling change.
True.
Yeah.
I think change is the only constant
Constant.
which
I
one
remember.
has to accept.
Yeah.
It's
But
the only constant.
yeah. But in that accepting, like we get from her letter, that sense. But why? Why should I accept? Okay, it's to change it in a mind from an abstract concept to something very applicable to why you should change on certain things. Where you break it down into what happens if I change this, and what happens if I don't change it. Then it's easier to accept that yes, change is the only constant, but I don't have to be overwhelmed by it, or it's not a sentence to me. It is the
Yeah.
only constant, and constant as a sentence on me. So
But Geetika giving up her uh, play group or what, that
yeah,
itself is a big change for her, no?
yes,
So the people who are giving her this advice, they
yeah.
should acknowledge that as well, right?
That
That
she's
it's going.
first of all done this, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she's wondering maybe the way it's timed, whether there's some criticism implied even in that you stopped it too
Perhaps.
soon. You should have understood those parents. These new parents is the new thing, and you should have
Mm.
understood that, which may be
You
valid for
know,
some. Huh.
sorry to interrupt, but
No,
I
no.
think having taught in a school where one saw the change in parents from parents who had respect for teachers into
Mm.
parents who were the consumer, the buyers of goods and services. It is a huge attitudinal change which can put the owner, proprietor, principal on a very defensive footing and is very difficult to handle. So that I can empathize with, that the parents who are very, very vocal in their demands and not understanding of what exactly she is aiming to do for the children in that particular setting. Quite possible. Gauri has vanished.
She has.
Gauri, can't
Oh,
see
what
her.
happened?
Gauri, where are you? I can see Gauri. Oh, where did she go again?
I guess there is a network connection error with Gauri now. She's joining again.
Gauri's back?
there is a network issue, I guess. He's joining again.
Okay.
Within.
Okay.
Mm. Where is my video is also gone somewhere.
Yeah, Sunita's also vanished.
No, no. Am
I
I,
mean,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see your video now.
Yeah, I don't know how I've got into safe driving mode suddenly.
Oops.
Now it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know that's a totally, I mean, that's another story altogether, no? The expectations of parents nowadays
Yeah.
from
So,
teachers and
so when schools become treated as a business, and then you have customers, and
right.
I mean,
And the
it's a different
parent
scenario.
dictates, like, no, what
Dictate,
activities
tries to
should be.
dictate terms.
Ah,
Tries to dictate terms. Whether
yeah,
successfully or not is
I know.
another matter. But as
So,
a senior, I am personally a little intimidated by net banking, so I don't do it. But
mm,
if there are payments which need to be made, I ask my daughter to do it and I give her cash. So
okay,
we have our own system where we have
right.
not fully embraced change, but we
Uh,
handle it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also not very well versed in all that. My husband does all that, so
He
I kind
doesn't
of
do it
pick up.
either. He's even, I mean, he's
Okay.
as resistant. Although we do a lot of investments online, we do all kinds of other things.
Mm,
And we can make our investments and whatnot, but we don't do net banking. But
mm.
we still manage to function. Hi, Gauri.
Yeah, yeah. Hi. Sorry, back out. And I
Yes.
was trying. Yes, you were saying something, Deepali.
I was saying that, when she was talking about the parents she was having to deal with or their attitudes, that can get very difficult when, they become consumers of her. I mean,
Correct.
okay, they are paying consumers, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the demands of,
Yes.
rather than the respect given to
Yeah.
a person who is
Yeah. Yeah.
at one level teaching their children or
Yeah.
child, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where she's
So
mentioned that
then
some of them are either very neglectful or some are like hovering helicopter parents.
huh,
Two
yeah,
types.
Mm,
so
Yeah.
both are difficult. Both are
Yeah.
very difficult to deal with.
Yeah. 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 Correct. And as it happened, it seems to have coincided with her. Must have done it enough years, feeling her age.
yeah.
Some
And
of
she must have said, "Ho gaya, kafi ho gaya."
some of these hasten your decision. Maybe you should have hung on a few years more if it wasn't like that. But again, like you're saying, the only thing constant is change, even in a business or even in
Yeah,
an,
yeah.
So,
Like I'll tell you, Gauri,
mm,
one change which really bugs me is the disappearance of CDs from the market and the disappearance of CD players. Like I
correct.
listen to music on YouTube or Spotify, whatever, but
Yeah,
I have a
yeah.
chest of drawers full of
I
beautiful
know.
CDs,
I
and
know.
it breaks my heart every time I look at it. And I do not have the heart to dispose
True.
of them either. I
Yeah,
live in hope that one day one
yeah,
beautiful CD player
yeah.
will re-manifest in my
You know,
life.
like how people are now buying record players and replaying them.
Yeah,
Yes,
MPs.
They
yes.
turn up like some
Vinyls are coming back, I think, at
become a
some
vintage
level.
thing to have a vintage CD player.
So I have vintage CDs, and I remember watching the shops disappear when Rhythm Corner
Yes.
vanished in
Yes.
Mumbai. It was heartbreaking. Or Music World in Calcutta or wherever,
Yeah,
whichever city
you
I
and me
lived
have
in.
gone together there
Yeah.
when it was
And then you
shutting
say,
down.
oh my
Yes.
God, these
Yeah.
shops are going.
Yeah.
As long as there are bookshops, I think we
Obsolescence.
still
Yeah. Correct.
manage.
Yeah. So books is a good
What
example.
about books?
I heard
Yeah.
this. I heard this never say never. I mean, I say you heard this never from some people so vociferously never. I will never switch to audiobooks or I will
Kindle,
switch
huh?
to apna Kindle. I'm saying
Mm,
why can't we all exist? And it's one of those changes that you may be very happy to transition to or
Yeah, like
parallel.
I love Paper books, but Kindle is fabulous for traveling. I
See,
take 6 or 10 new books when I'm traveling for a month.
correct. There's
or
your
something.
example of a good thing that has come and we've transitioned and are happy to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right. So this when I hear this, it's a sort of intellectual snobbery also. No, the smell of books, and the sight of all those books. Yeah, that's how we did it, of course.
Yeah, we did it for centuries,
This other
but the
Yeah.
books get deemak also, and you have to maintain them.
Spoken like a householder, really. Yeah, correct.
Kya
And they
kare?
get yellow, and it's no fun to read them.
Musty.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I still have
That's
loads.
nostalgia, no? That's where nostalgia comes in.
Correct. Yeah. And that nostalgia also is a double-edged thing I was saying about when it comes to change.
Correct.
Yes.
What stuff you hang on to only out of nostalgia. And yet nostalgia can be a beautiful thing, but you have to choose which things you will hang on to out of sheer nostalgia. Or just do, like I said, a bubble. Sometimes today is my nostalgia day. I will go down.
That's a good thought. Yes.
I will go down to that favorite restaurant and I will do these things and maybe shed a tear about the passing of these things, but in a bubble, not in a sort of angry huff, resistant huff, I think. Okay, shall we stop here? Please send in your thing, or tomorrow, next Wednesday, bring in these 5 things.
Yeah.
Changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Krish, we'll stop here today.
Yeah, sure. I'll end the stream.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
Sunita.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.